Welcome back to Chelsea Talks. I'm your host, Cooper Jones, and I'm here with my co-host
Malia Banks.
and our guest,
Miss Burdette.
So, Miss Burdette, we're glad to have you here. May you please tell us a little background story about you?
Well, what part of my background you want? What are you asking?
Like
Like teaching?
teaching.
My
yeah.
life?
Let's do teaching.
Okay,
How long have you
teaching.
been teaching?
Okay, this is my 12th year here at Chelsea. I've taught 25 years total in the public school or private school, but probably adding in homeschool about 30 years.
What inspired you to become a history teacher?
Well, I knew I wanted to be a teacher. So grew up doing that, teaching my dolls and just imaginary students. But as far as history, I really had some really good history teachers growing up. I had one teacher, Mr. Sprayberry, he taught Alabama history and civics, and I really enjoyed it. He made it interesting, and then Coach Alford, he was another teacher that was pivotal. Some people called him really boring and dry, but I loved being in his class, and he had really good handwriting.
That's good.
Yeah.
With with having good teachers, did they make history your favorite subject in school?
Yeah, I really loved math too, but unfortunately I wasn't good enough to pass calculus. But I really enjoyed math. But when I got so I first started out as a math major, and then I got into calculus, and I'd never had it before, and that just kind of said, okay, well, maybe let's go to the next one. I also tried music, too. And then when I was told that I was going to have to sing in front of my peers, I said, okay, maybe this isn't it. So we went to history.
If you could time travel to any era, where would you go and why?
Oh, goodness. I don't know, because you look at some of these eras and you think, oh, that'd be really cool to go to, but then there's so much other stuff. Like, I've always thought I'd love to go to the 40s because that's when my dad was a teenager, and he just talks well about things, but that was also World War II, and my dad ended up going and serving in World War II, and a lot of his friends and his family members. So I think the 40s would be fun, but then there's that. So
Right.
maybe let's say after World War II is over. So the late 40s. Let's do that.
What about you, Malia?
Oh, the 90s.
The 90s, yeah.
Yeah.
Why the 90s?
My parents were teenagers. Like, my mom, she was, about 11, 12, like, just hitting teenage. And my dad, they're 2 months apart. So growing up with each other, I want to see, because people say I look like my mom, so I want to see if I look like my mom.
So did they know each other as kids?
Mhm.
Oh, that's cool.
For me, I'd probably say the early 70s, early 60s, because that's when my grandparents had old vintage cars and all that. So that's what I want my first car to be, is a 57 Chevrolet. So yeah.
Do you have a favorite historical figure?
Let's see. That is a tough one. Teddy Roosevelt. I like him. Yep, he was pretty much like bull in the china shop. I'm going to do what I want to do, and I'm going to get it done. He had all these different animals in the White House, so that was a big deal. Let's see. I think world history, I might even go with somebody like Julius Caesar. I think he's pretty cool. Some of the things we talked about with him, he got things done, and he cared about the people. I mean, maybe he cared about the people because that made him more powerful, but yeah.
What is the weirdest or funniest fact you've ever learned while teaching history?
You mean from students?
That or while
Sure.
you're teaching it? Sure, yeah.
Goodness gracious. Well, I don't know the weirdest fact. Speaking of Julius Caesar, you remember he had that, and then Mark Antony and Cleopatra and Octavian. I mean, they had a little situation over there. Yeah.
The thing I've had last year, there was a couple kids that asked Mr. Marshall, is Julius Caesar the one that created Little Caesar or Caesar salad? So,
Wow. Neither. But, I mean, it's good to pretend.
Yeah.
Why is it important for students to learn their history?
Oh, well, so you know where you've been and where you're going to. I think about some of the things that we're talking about, and of course, it makes you connect what's going on in our world today, and maybe even better understand that why things are happening the way things are happening. Like, for instance, what's going on in the Middle East right now. That's not something that just happened a couple of years ago, and that's a conflict now. It's been going since the beginning of time, and realizing that that's what is happening, and why there's conflicts in so many areas where people come in and say, this is what you're going to do now, and it's like, but wait, we've been doing this for so long, and now you're going to come in and be in charge. So why things are why they are. And as you guys become adults, my goodness, everybody says math and science. Sorry, math and science teachers. But math and science is the most important. But civics is going to affect your life, our lives until we die. And
Right.
so that's something that you need to know about. Gosh, how many years, 4 years you're going to be voting? Is that right? Yeah. Yeah.
I just realized.
Yeah. So, you need to know. It needs to be more than just, well, my mom said I need to do this, or my dad said. You need to know why you believe what you believe.
Responsibility.
Hey, that's one of our
Character traits.
character
It
traits.
is.
Yes, and yes.
How do you make history fun for people that think, let me see how to word this. How do you make history fun for people that think it is boring?
Well, I don't know if this is just me being, okay, so I'm the baby in my family, like by years. My sister's 12 years older than me. My brother's 5 years older than me. So, and then plus being the baby in the family, you like to be the entertainer.
Right.
So let's go from there. I love being the performer. And, you always hear, well, I hate history because it's so boring. And there's so much stuff, like we just said, of so much scandal and weird things and funny things. And, wow, that really happened. I love being a storyteller, and I like to make things come alive. And hopefully I do
Right.
with my students, to make them go, I don't want one day for the man on the street to come up to you or to you and ask you a question like, who was the first president? And you say, Abraham Lincoln. I mean, not that I'm going to teach you those things, but I want you to be able to be knowledgeable about these things, and hopefully in a way that helps you remember
Right.
as you get older.
Cooper, how do you think she makes it interesting?
Yeah, Cooper.
Always up in front of the classroom, she's telling these funny stories, like she said
Yeah.
earlier, and then she starts singing. It's
Cool.
fun. It's
It
fun.
just happens.
It's funny.
It's
fun.
just happens
Great.
from it
Great
just
storyteller.
way down
Yes.
deep. It just comes out.
It makes-
I
it's-
used to hate history, and
I
then
did
when I
too.
got her
Yeah.
as a teacher, I was like, oh, okay, history could be
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, it made it
'Cause
interesting.
everyone else, like, they'll say Coach Floyd or Coach Aker, they're boring.
Yeah.
And
Did you
I'm
hear that,
like-
guys? You're boring.
And I would be like, because Coach Floyd, they'll be watching, like, a different show, and we'll be watching a movie.
That's based
instead.
on our unit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so,
And very important music videos,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That teach you about, yeah,
So-
like convert or die, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So, like, when I see that, like, are y'all watching a movie? They be like, no, we don't watch a movie. I would literally look at them like, why y'all don't watch movies?
Right.
Like, do y'all not have fun?
Right.
That's what it's giving. But if you could witness one historical event in person, what would it be?
Good gracious.
That's a tough question.
It is. Okay, I think if I could witness any historical event, I would think the life of Christ.
Yes.
Not necessarily the crucifixion, don't
Yeah.
want, but hey, 3 days later, but to witness the life of Christ and his ministry, and how he gave so much hope to so many people, and I just think that would be That would be what I would want to witness.
Yeah, I agree.
What about you?
100. I agree. Yeah.
I
about
got
you?
multiple.
Mm.
That I would want to walk with Martin Luther King.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
that'd be good
It
too.
looks so interesting because, like, my grandparents were, well, not my granddad, but everybody else was born. And, you know, when he died, he was just born. So, he
Yeah,
don't know
me
nothing.
too. Yeah. Your grandfather, is that what you said?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, me and your grandpa, born in the 60s.
But everyone else, like my grandmother, she, you know, some of them witnessed it. You know, when I talked about it.
Yeah. Mission
And
Marshall's
yeah,
class.
when my granddad was murdered by the cops and stuff like
Mm.
that. Yeah, it was brutal. But is that the crucifixion? I want to see that because when I was younger, I had watched the movie and I
Yeah.
cried, and I was like, why are they doing that to him?
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like traumatizing. And then my mom was like, that's Jesus. And I was like, why would they do that?
Right.
Like, I was so mad. I didn't even want to watch it no more. It took me a couple of years to watch it
Right.
because every time I watched it, I cried.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but those are the three. Oh, and when Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. But yeah.
Yeah, those are good ones. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think is the most important history thing you can teach today? Us today.
You mean what's like overall or event
Overall.
or whatever?
Overall.
I think again to instill that love of history and to see that it is important, that it's not just another thing you got to check off your list, because it does affect your lives and it will continue to affect your life, and for you to know why it affects your life.
Right.
And I mean, you know, you hear this. Of course, I heard it as a kid too. I mean, you guys are the change. And so if there are things that are going on that's like, wait a minute, I don't agree with this. I need to take a stand on this, that you know why you're taking a stand and why you don't agree with it. So I think just overall, and to see that people are pivotal in change of things. And you don't have to be the president, or you don't have to be some big wig. You can be just a citizen,
Right.
and using that power.
What's the best way for students to remember historical facts and dates?
I always look for clues. Going back to Mr. Sprayberry, so we had to learn the counties in Alabama, and so he would teach us a sentence. Like we would go, like the county, we would go from north to south, and he would break it up and we would learn sentences. So that's one thing that I try to do, is especially like when we're doing maps and things. So like when I first started teaching, and I was teaching geography, for Mexico and Central America, my green bell is every hero's nice collection piece. And if you remember that sentence, you know where the countries are
Right.
in Mexico and Central America. You can name them. And then, so I try to come up with sentences or something like that for you to remember. And then sometimes it's like, okay, is that alphabetical or it's not alphabetical? You know, just whatever things I can come up with. Just
Right.
little tricks.
What project or activity do your students usually enjoy the most overall?
I don't know. That's a question for you. You two, what do y'all enjoy? If you said, wow, besides watching movies, what would be the most fun that you feel you've gotten the most out of? I want to hear this.
I think it was the Julius Caesar, the
Autopsy?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was
I think
cool.
this was at the beginning of the year, or like second and third 9 weeks. Can't really remember, but it was a page cover or was it a foldable that we did
Oh,
in
no.
Japan or something like that. That was fun. And then I would come second Julius autopsy thing. That's really interesting to do with our partners and all that.
Yeah.
And with our name, you know that thing. It's like the Egyptian.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
cartouche.
Like
yeah.
she has
yeah.
under the above the clock in her room. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's cool.
So y'all are saying more project-y things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like projects.
I do too. I like our coloring, drawing. I like all that too. So that's usually why we do a lot of those.
But some
things.
class can't handle it, so. You know.
Yeah, you got those people.
Oh yeah, especially fourth period.
I don't know if I.
Right.
Some people might say a different period,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
What advice do you have for students who want to become a historian or history teachers?
Okay, honestly, you want the honest truth?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, if you are a female, don't do it. Find something else to do because I don't know why it is, but history teachers are usually male.
Yep.
I mean,
I agree.
especially
Have you not noticed?
especially at the high school level because they usually make those history teachers coaches. I don't know if people just think history's like, I'm not going to say that dumb people can teach history. If you can't, you can teach history. If you can't do science, math, or English, you teach history, and you're a coach. So if you're a female, don't do it. If you're a guy, hey, that's your place.
Yeah, we only got 2 female history teachers here, and that's you and Miss MJ. The
That's
rest
right.
of them are male.
That's right.
Everyone said.
There was one year, I think it was my first year here, I had a student that I was his only female teacher.
Dang.
Yeah.
Growing up, all I had was female teachers. So when I got a male teacher, I was like, I
Yeah,
don't like this.
Yeah, before I moved to Chelsea, we lived in Parish. It's the poor side versus Chelsea. But anyways, everybody in that school was a female teacher. Besides the principal, that was it. That was the only male.
I think my first male teacher was in 6th grade. And I had an English teacher who was a male teacher, and my math teacher was male. My English teacher, Mr. Hurst was his name. He was an older guy. Like, he was friends with my grandfather. Like, that old. So, but if we got done with class early, we would sing songs.
Oh.
Yeah.
We would just have a class singing. It was fun. I liked it.
My first male teacher was 5th grade, Daryl Hyde. So that's my first male teacher for ELA
Mine
and history.
was for history, Mr. Goodall in 6th
Oh,
grade.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and the first day he wasn't even here, so we
Nope.
had Mr. Cheeseburger.
How can we learn from history to make the world better today?
I think we've already kind of
Yeah.
even mentioned it already. Just learning from the mistakes that they've made. How did they fix it? What worked? What didn't work? So I think that's, first of all, you got to learn it.
Right.
Right. So to learn it and to know, hey, this worked, this didn't work, let's try this. Or, hey, you know, this thing over here, we're just going to stay far away from that.
All right, so now we're going to get into some fun get-to-know-you questions. Millie, you want to start us off?
Uh-oh, scared.
What was your favorite cartoon or TV show when you were our age?
Oh.
So 13, 14?
Yeah, something like that.
13.
Gosh, even as 13 or 14, okay, so every day after school, I would come home, get a snack, and watch Bugs Bunny.
What snack?
Oh, gosh. Okay, so my stepmother always had cake. Always. There was always a cake. And so usually a piece of cake and a glass of sweet tea. And that was usually my breakfast, too.
That's good.
Yeah, breakfast of champions.
Right. What was your favorite part about Bugs Bunny? Yeah.
Oh gosh, I don't know. I just loved it. It was
Did
was
you-
just good. You know, and I learned so much classical music watching Bugs Bunny.
Do you have a favorite actor or person that played in
In Bugs Bunny?
Yeah. I couldn't think of the name.
I think my favorite would have been the old rabbit himself, Bugs Bunny. I think
There you
he
go.
was my favorite, yeah.
Yeah. What is your go-to snack when you're grading papers or on computer when you're grading, scrolling through?
I love trail mix.
Yeah.
I
that's
love
good.
trail mix. And the worst thing, though, is if I have those little miniature cut chocolates.
Yeah.
That's the worst. I can't have them. I cannot have them because I will sit there and I'll eat the bag.
So when you eat trail mix, is it all different types of nuts? Does it have M&Ms or, different sweet and salty or just salty?
There's usually, yeah, I like sweet and salty. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not a big peanut fan.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't like peanuts.
Do you have a favorite meme or TikTok trend?
I don't even have TikTok. I
Oh,
don't
wow.
even know about. I can't even.
I remember
can't
Miss
even.
Jenker saying I asked her something like that on some video that we did earlier in the year, and she said only old women have Facebook. They don't have TikTok and stuff like
I
that.
do
or
not
something
have
like that.
TikTok. I cannot have somebody spying on me.
Yeah, it scared me. But yeah. What would your superhero power be, and what would your superhero name be?
Oh, good gracious. Superhero power. I don't know. I think flying would be pretty cool.
What would you name yourself? Flying Burdette?
Flying bird.
Flying Burr. Yeah.
Burr.
Yeah.
And you got to drag out the R.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I like
okay.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about you, Cooper?
Big bird flying.
Probably time traveling or, I don't know. Time traveling. Yeah. We're gonna go back in time and go forward.
Would
Or
you
in
go?
the-
Would
or
you
in-
go to the future?
I'd go in the past.
Go in the past.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just don't change nothing.
Yeah.
You don't ch- yeah.
Yeah.
Don't try to be changing.
And then if it wasn't that, probably invisibility.
Mine would be teleportation or time travel, but I don't know a name.
I was about to say I don't know what type of name I'd choose with mine.
It would be something exotic.
Yeah. I don't know.
Marvelous Malia.
Oh.
Magnificent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That brings it back into show. Magnificent. Yeah. It's on Antenna. My grandparents love to watch Antenna TV. It's called Magnificent Morning. And it's with Jack Hanna Into the Wild. That's a good show.
Yeah.
Learn about your animals and stuff.
Yeah. Crocodile Hunt. Yeah, Crocodile Hunter. That was a good. RPI. RIP. Let's do it.
If you could have dinner with 3 people from history or pop culture, who would you choose?
You know who I think would be cool to have dinner with, regardless of what anybody thinks? Donald Trump.
Oh,
And here's why. I mean, if you hear all these people, of course, the people that like him, that's one thing. But he's having dinner with all these people who trash him.
Right.
And then they're walking out of it going, hey, he's not so bad. You know, so I think that would be really cool. Let's see, who else would I want to have dinner with? Oh, the ladies from the group Heart. I think that would be, I love Heart. Yeah. Barracuda. You know, Alone. Those guys.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of them?
Never heard of
Wow,
them.
wow. Oh, that
Just
hurt.
like your favorite cake, caramel cake. Never
Caramel
heard of it.
cake.
Yeah,
I
caramel.
cannot believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I say caramel. I cannot believe you've never. You need to go and have some. Not
Yeah.
the store bought kind.
The homemade kind.
You need homemade.
Scratch.
Scratch.
There you go.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
who would you choose?
Oh, hey, that was only 2.
Yeah, I was about to
Oh,
say.
yeah.
What about Miss Burdette's third?
You know who else might be really cool to have dinner with? Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Because growing up during the time period, I mean, he was the boss.
Yeah.
I mean, he still is, but yeah, I think that'd be cool too.
What about you?
Donald Trump, Jesus
Yeah.
Christ,
Oh,
and I forgot his Jalen Hurts.
yeah. Okay.
What about you?
Mine would be Nick Saban,
Oh yes, I agree. Yeah.
Michael Jackson,
Oh, yeah. Didn't even think about him.
and so many people.
I know. It's hard to narrow it down.
I would say Jesus, but if I was at that Last Supper, I would have got mad. So,
And of course, if you're having dinner with Jesus, that means you're not here anymore,
Yeah.
probably.
right. But who would be? I say Whitney Houston as my third person.
Oh,
sounds
that's
good.
another good one, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. What's one thing your students would be surprised to learn about you?
I don't know. I know we talked about this before, but I was always in band, started early middle school.
You said 5th grade.
5th grade
Yeah.
started beginner band, and then was in marching band in 7th grade, all throughout high school. Did a march flute, drumline, color guard, was in a winter guard. Then in college, I was in band, did rifle line and dance line, and then and then while I was in college, marched in drum corps, and I was on PBS. I was on TV when I was marching in drum corps.
I'm pretty sure like we could tell because like the way you walk, like you'll turn like it's like it's the way like you're marching. So it's like yeah.
All right, I have to.
What's one song that always gets stuck in your head, even if you don't want it to?
One song? Mm-hmm. I don't have one song. There's a lot of songs going on up there. Like there was one playing in my head last night when I was trying to go to sleep. I can't even remember what it was but it just there's not one.
Do you have one, Malia?
It's like new though, like 6 months ago. It's called "Little Things" by Ella Mai. It's like she's singing like to her husband or whatever, but it's like really calm.
Right.
Well, that's good if it's a calm one.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
And the one that I don't want, I can't think of one that I don't want because everything I think of is something that I want to listen to.
For me, I was just singing that walking into school. Christ is my firm foundation.
Oh.
I was singing that walking into the school. It's like hard to get out your head.
Yeah, I had a Fleetwood Mac song this morning. So.
Or Drift Away. Yeah. We heard that in Miss Burdett's room that day.
Oh, yeah. So, that's good.
Yesterday, the only song that was stuck in my head was Mercy.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Do you have a favorite Bible verse or any type of verse?
Yes, it would be Philippians 4:8, and it's all talking about what you should dwell on and what you should think about. And if it's not true, if it's not honorable, right, pure, lovely, excellent, worthy of praise, get on out of here.
Take a hike.
Yeah, yeah.
Mine would probably be Philippians 4:13. Do all
Same.
things through Christ that strengthens me. So yeah.
What was running the half marathon like?
It was good. I can't even remember. I don't even know which number of half marathon it was. I've run several. I've run one marathon, but that was a long time ago, and that will never happen again. Like I said, I know why that guy died at the end of his marathon. That was really, really tough. But I did it in Nashville, and so this was it was my slowest, but, I'm kind of getting up in age these days. But it was probably the most fun because there were so many people on the streets, lining the streets, and there were bands playing every so many miles, and it was a really fun. It was really fun, and so Ms. Hudgens did the full marathon. She has a little different story because she did the 26.2, but it was just a really fun marathon. I would love or half. I would really like to do that one again.
Thank you, Miss Burdette, for coming out. We really appreciate you being here. We're glad to have you here, and thank you.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Yes, ma'am.
Again.